picks are underway. It will be an instant lock for PacB, which will be going the way of Brazil for map 1.
Yeah, I'm always excited to watch some Brazil, and picking up the game here with that map is going to be very, very exciting, I think. PacB, they're going to be doing pretty well on that map, but then again, Gen.GxWeibo, they're going to be picking Greece. Also, another fantastic map to watch. I love that identity at the end. It can be sort of volatile. It's going to make for exciting races until the finish line, and especially a ton of deciding things. USA right after for a little bit of consistency, and then if we get to it, map 4 and 5, which I believe will definitely get to that map for France, and the decider map is going to be China.
So Greece, this is a pick that is going to be shining bright for the Gen.GxWeibo contingent, because this is a map where Wosal has been extremely potent during the DreamHack Birmingham tournament, and yeah, he's trying to pull the same things that he was able to do in DreamHack Birmingham, especially on that checkpoint 12, that long left-hander outside dirt line, where he's been able to go so close to the wall without even scraping it, and thus kind of slingshot his way and catapult his way out of the corner with supreme speed. He hasn't been able to do that the last time that we've been able to see him play that track, though, so we'll see if that sort of errand has been corrected. In terms of the other map picks, USA, also a great map pick to watch Gen.GxWeibo play on. Brazil and France, two map picks that are going to be favoring PacB. They chose this one for a reason. In China, as a decider, I wonder if we're going to be seeing Game 5. I'm not quite sure. I'm thinking we're going to be seeing a 3-1 going the way of PacB.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with that. Now, I'm definitely not against going to the decider map, and China can always make for some fun races. That start with the Buckslide line is, of course, going to be exciting. However, we've got to get there first, and PacB are not first in the Division 1 standings right now for no reason. So I think this is going to be a tough one. However, Gen.GxWeibo would, of course, love to pick up at least a map here for their position in total standings at the moment.
Yeah, indeed, and at least try to make the fight a little bit more close with the VP Neon duo of Pussy Tobacco and Neon, with whom they are, of course, again, we're reiterating this, fighting against for a playoff spot. So this is very much of the utmost importance to get a map away from PacB for Gen.GxWeibo. Just as a reminder, both VP Neon and Gen.GxWeibo sit on 4 match wins so far, currently a map diff of -3. Technically, they're still in the fight because they have 2 games to play compared to just 1 game to play for VP Neon. They do need to ace their games, though, if they want to kind of erase the map diff as well. So there's a lot riding on this game going their way, and even just a single map win for PacB could kind of throw a monkey wrench into the plans of Gen.GxWeibo to kind of get that 4th spot. So there's a lot of ifs and buts and a lot of alignment of stars that needs to happen here for Wosal and Heave if they want to make it to the top 4. But nevertheless, even if they fail that mission, they would still be, of course, confirmed to Division 1 for the next split, as the match is underway right now. The warm-up is done, and Brazil is go for map 1 of this game.
So, I mean, Brazil is going to be always pretty much an exciting one here. Let's just, get to the important parts, which is going to be those reactor sections later. Also, this looping can be kind of a bit of a difference maker. This time, we do see Gen.GxWeibo heading out there in 1-2. However, Carl Jr. is still going to be right there with them. So Heave currently in the lead with all of the other players, 0.3 behind, and 1-2 it seems like maybe Gen.GxWeibo can keep the lead here as Pac has fallen a bit behind. Oh, never mind.
Yeah, currently Gen.GxWeibo are able to keep pace, but now we're coming into the 2nd and 3rd sector, where Wosal is kind of falling off by the wayside after an early mistake in that 3rd sector, and Heave has to try and pick up the slack and try to enforce the draw at all costs, but he has Carl Jr. snapping at his heels, the 7-time world champion, along with his teammate Pac, right now trying to chase down the young Frenchman from Weibo, as we see him go over the sand, get a little bit too wheel time. He will be ceding the lead to Carl Jr. and maybe even 2nd place to Pac. He goes too far off the deep end in the final corner and will thus gift the ace to PacB on a silver plate with some times that are reasonable in the grand scheme of things, but a 104.240 compared to what we saw throughout the season is not the fastest that is definitely going to get here.
Yeah, but I mean, of course, it did ultimately really come down to completely failing the last turn, and I mean, it's something that we have seen happen before, and it's kind of the way of Brazil. However, it's gotta hurt. They would have loved to at least start it off with a point here, not immediately fall that far behind 3 points, of course, especially against some team like PacB. That's going to be the uphill battle of the utmost utmost levels. But we do see Heave once again up in an early lead. This time it's going to be Wosile, who can't quite catch up, is going to be clipping on the inside there. So that means the Gen.GxWeibo player is going to be on the defense here right now to try and keep at least the draw, get a point. However, that would mean PacB goes to 4.
And already looking to be on the pretty solid time, maybe dipping into the 103s there for Heave, as he was on the .370 split at checkpoint number 13 before the final dirt part of it. He goes a little bit slow in the penultimate corner here over the water. Will be able to resist the attack of Pac. No, he eats the rock on the left-hand side of the finish gate full on, and thus it will be victory for PacB. Such a shame to throw that draw away like that for Heave, but he had to put everything on the line and on the racetrack or over the water in that sense to try and actually make it stick. Just that unfortunate encounter with the rock at the wrong time is definitely going to be doing a big disservice to the red side there.
Yeah, I mean, 2 times failing in the last turn is gotta hurt. It's not quite as big of a fail as last time. However, you know, losing that one spot and giving PacB the victory is, of course, also well, I mean, at least less than optimal. 5 points, 4 points up now for PacB, so they are already closing in on finishing off their first map, and this time Heave not quite as far up as the last few rounds. This time it's Carl Jr. finding himself in the race lead. However, it's PacB who's all the way in 4th position, and he does seem quite far away. Let's see the splits at this checkpoint, .4, so it's not quite as fast as last round, but he is finding himself on the heels of Carl Jr., looking to catch up to the identity here.
Yeah, looking to be on the 104.0 or even the .1 in the worst of cases for Carl Jr. as Pac suffered a very, very early clip in the first loop of the map. Will be falling down a second compared to his teammate, but the teammate will do the job and will secure the draw that Gen.GxWeibo had been looking to secure for the past 2 rounds, but failed at. Thus, PacB will still be in with a 4 points lead going into the next round, and they're slowly but surely marching their way towards their first attempt at making their first map point stick.
Yeah, you know, this so far technically has been the best result on this map for Gen.GxWeibo, which does definitely mean that it's not enough. This time Heave, with a slow start, is going to be falling behind, cannot fight for the draw here for his team, at least not at the moment, and Carl Jr. is getting a great line there. So he's going to be finding himself all the way in the lead. Both Gen.GxWeibo players, however, are definitely not out of the race quite yet, but Carl Jr. is just going to get even further ahead, so he has to try and maybe overtake here.
Yeah, and right now it's going to be Osalster to try and actually defend that solitary point that would be brought on the table for Gen.GxWeibo if they're able to keep the positions the same, but Pac is continuing to pile the pressure on the Frenchman from Gen.G as Carl continues to scamper away into the distance. A 66% win rate might be converted to a 75% win rate as he goes towards a potential 3rd victory in 4 rounds played. One final hairpin to go, and in the meantime, Pac versus Wosile, it will be Pac prevailing, giving the ace to PacB with a 103.960, the winning time for Carl Jr., who thus won 3 out of the last 4 rounds. And actually, coming into today, Carl Jr. has the best success rate here on this map, a 104.092 median time, an average finishing position of 75.9 percentile. He has won 55.2% of the maps that have been reported in there. Out of 29 rounds played, 16 of them have been won by Carl, and only 3 of them have been finished in last place.
Do you perchance even know what his median is on this map?
Well, median I've already said, a 104.092. He's the fastest of the bunch.
I missed that one, but that's an impressive median time. That's for sure, and I mean, he's definitely showing why he is, well, one of the best on this map right now. He just keeps on finding himself in those top spots and, well, mainly 1st place position. However, this time Heave once again has the chance to try and compete with him here, and they have to try and compete with him here. And in fact, Wosile still has to try and somehow get his way into at least 2nd place with even 1st, because PacB is on track point, 1 point away from winning their 1st map, and this identity is going to be their last hope to try and make it. But with PacB having a bad line, no, he's going to be overtaking, and I don't think it's gonna be enough no matter what happens there. Heave gets sniped by Carl in the end for another victory for his side, and Wosile cannot quite even catch 3rd place.
Also, just a quick point to address the confusion. It's very easy to confuse Pac the player and PacB the team. It will be occurring in a few different times that we kind of swap the names out, but you kind of get the idea whenever we actually talk about the player or the team. As we go on to the 2nd map, which will be Greece up next. Greece, which is a pick that has been favored, of course, by Gen.GxWeibo, and if we take a look at the stats, it's not really all that resounding when you consider the fact that the Wosal was maybe a bit more performative on this map in earlier competitions compared to Overdrive, but still, 11 round wins out of 46 rounds played on this map for Heave and Wosal. This is definitely the one that they go on the most. The most reliable being Wosal as well on the server, along with Carl Jr., no DNFs. Only 5 last places out of 46 rounds. That is a pretty decent track record, if you ask me. And an average finishing percentile of 58 compared to 61.9 for Carl Jr. in the medians. A median looking a bit slower, actually, for Wosal on the .870, 113, of course. 0.870 versus a .599 for Carl Jr.
Wow. I mean, this is definitely a map that favors consistency, especially that identity at the end, which is deceivingly hard. It does look like, for me, you know, as a caster, I don't have that much experience with these maps. I look at it, I'm like, it's not that hard, but then actually playing it is that hard, and getting it at the speed that these guys are doing it consistently is absolutely
when you're
impressive.
You can somewhat get the idea, but when you try to actually somewhat string around together, even for somebody like myself who has had his skill degraded over the years, it's not the easiest of maps to apprehend. And of course, this one is a little bit more old school in its feeling, as we've touched on time and time again throughout this life cycle of this map. It feels very old school in the way it is built, because the start and finish are almost in the same place. It could have well passed as a 6-lapper in the early TNGL era, but it's very old school in the fact that you can dial the first 2 sectors down to a T, but then you come to the staircase, or the tetraminos as we've come to call them lately, and everything can come undone really quickly. As we now go into the first round of Greece, it will be PacB leading at the end of sector number 1, around a 10.5 to 2 tenths ahead of Heave, but he goes too far out wide in the final drop down in the mid part of the map and falls off. Does not even get a space program application for him in. He just gets forced to respawn, and Heave gets promoted into the lead with Carl Jr. hot on his heels, and Wosal in third, looking to secure the victory.
Yeah, Gen.GxWeibo is looking to potentially even get one map, and this might be their best shot in this opening round. Might be just what they are looking for to go into an early lead. Carl Jr. is still trying to play defense and try and overtake Heave there, and it might be coming down to the identity for that, to try and prevent an early lead going the way of Gen.GxWeibo, and Wosal has to respawn. That is absolutely unfortunate. Heave is going to be finishing ahead of Carl Jr. here, but PacB might be able to overtake into third place position and to secure the draw, and that's just gonna be what's happening. Yeah, Wosal, huge mistake there for him. Not the mistake itself, but rather what happened after. PacB able to just overtake. I mean, what's just overtake? He was 4 seconds faster there.
Yeah, well, not just. It's not just an overtake. It was basically just forcing Wosal to respawn. PacB gifted that third place, and Wosal having some troubles in that identity as well in that second time through, where he came to a dead stop, like legitimately 0 kph, like stopped on, I think it was the third to last platform or the penultimate platform. I don't exactly remember which one, but he was very much coming to a standstill. So he will be looking to try and correct that track record here so far after the first round, as Heave goes too far inside on the second drop down midway through the map, forcing himself to respawn. He knew the disaster was coming from a mile away, and that will be promoting Carl into the lead. PacB up into second, and Wosal now is going to be feeling the pressure because he needs to deliver a point to actually keep his team afloat and prevent PacB from sprinting away, and not make his teammate feel like his efforts to win the previous round were all in vain.
Yeah, 0.1 though, that's going to be a tough one to catch up. 0.15 at that checkpoint there. He is still very much within striking distance. It does seem like he does have slightly more speed as we head into the identity, but he has to actually convert it, not make a mistake this time. It might be able, like, he's going to be able to do that. He's just up ahead of both of the PacB players, and he managed to snipe both of them.
Very Granadi-esque kind of push at the identity there. Like, Wosal decided to put it all on the track, not leave anything up to chance, quote-unquote, and push it for all he's worth. A 0.477, defeating a 0.590 for the nearest PacB players. So the status quo will be enforced. A draw will be validated. 2-2 at the end of round 2 on map 2. Round 3 is underway. Map 3 is going to be just for a little bit later on.
Yeah, Heave definitely very, very happy. His mistake not punished all too heavy there, thanks to his teammate securing a first place position, keeping the score tied up. So if Gen.GxWeibo wants to win a map, they're still very, very much in it to do that just here. Heave's gonna be going to tie it again, and so we're finding ourselves in just the same position as we did last time, where it's on Wosal to try and secure a draw. He is a bit further behind than last time, though.
This time the gap might be a little bit too much to work with. He has to pray for something to go awry on the blue side indeed as we go into this third and final sector with that big NASCAR turn from checkpoint 9 through 10. It will be Carl and Pac tandeming this together, separated by a tenth of a second, even less than that. Going into the dirt part of checkpoints 11 through to 12, we go very far out wide on the part of Pac here before checkpoint 13 at the end of that long left-hander in the dirt. Then the nose dies before the identity. Warsaw looking to try and catch some gap back up. He's still a bit too far behind. Has to pray for someone to clip ahead. It looks as though it will not happen though. It will be the ace for PacB, who does take a 3-point lead right on the spot. 0.58 for Carl Jr. and a point. It looks as though it will be a 0.67 for Pac in second position. It will be 5-2 at the end of this round, and PacB continuing to just run away with it.
Yeah, and I feel like this is still Gen.G's best map to try and get a win on, and you know, this 3-1 that we predicted was you know, in my mind, maybe sort of riding on their first map pick here. But with this ace win from PacB, it might be even more difficult. Gen.GxWeibo kind of forced to at least inch out a victory here. This time he finally, without a mistake, as we head into the first staircase, Pac all the way up there in the lead as well, though Carl Jr. is the only one who's ever so slightly behind.
Yeah, that's Carl, who didn't have the best of exits from the ice slide before checkpoint number 5, and that promoted Wilson to move back up to second and heave up to third as we go into sector number 3, and it will be Pac continuing to fight for the lead, but a huge mistake from Carl Jr. hitting the edge of the road on that double left-hander NASCAR turn, and so Pac will be all on his own to try and validate a draw and keep that 3-point lead intact, but he has Wosile snapping at his heels, Heave in hot pursuit as well as we go on to checkpoint 14. The identity coming up. Heave having been a better run through the nosedive compared to his teammate. As he goes a bit wide though, he's able to make it stick, yes, but Wosile is completely out of it, and Pac will be able to succeed in guaranteeing the draw, going the way of PacB in the long term, because it will allow the blue side to take a 3-point lead into the next round. Keep that 3-point lead intact, a 0.376, a very solid time as well for Pac as we move on to the next round. And once again, slowly but surely, PacB marching towards that map point first attempt on map number 2.
Yeah, I mean, time is ever so slowly running out for Gen.G. They have to come up with some way to at least close the gap as soon as possible. PacB 1 point away from their second track point here, and that would be, well, I mean, sort of, you said it, running away with it, and that's kind of what they've been doing right now. Wosile has to adjust a little bit, manages to stay on the track, not hit the outsides there of the road track, but both of the PacB players in the lead. Pac a little bit slow, almost goes too wide. I did think he was going to clip his wheels over the edge there. He did not, so all 4 players, the Pac very close right now. We're going to be sticking into this NASCAR turn here. Carl Jr. is going to get up into first place.
Yeah, but right now Carl Jr. is really the one that's pushing hard. Even his teammate is not really able to keep pace with the 7-time world champion as he continues to battle tooth and nail against Heave to even grab the point for third place and try to turn this into a victory for PacB as we go into the identity, and Heave is not giving up without a fight, and Wosile looking to try and pile the pressure on Carl Jr. going into the identity. He goes for the full set. The young Frenchman, and he will be clipping very hard, paying the price for it, and he will be forced to respawn it. It will be the victory going the way of PacB, a 0.509 for Carl Jr., a tenth and a half ahead of Heave, who manages to resist a late surge from Pac to guarantee that second place, and thus at least 1 point on the board for the red side. But 8-4, it looks as though the writing is on the wall, and it will not go away there, unfortunately, Tobel.
Yeah, I mean, it's so unfortunate, especially because that's the second time in this match that Wosile messed up the identity in such a critical moment there. There was points on the line, definitely for Gen.G, for Gen.GxWeibo there, but unfortunately not quite able to just do it. It is a very difficult identity. This round, Pac, huge mistake, is going to be taking himself out of that race completely, and Carl Jr. all the way back there. It's going to be a tough one here for Pac.
This is the counter break that seldom arrives, but that is definitely needed for Gen.GxWeibo. But as soon as I say that, he might be throwing it all the way, as you see Wosile getting almost to a crawl at the entry to checkpoint number 5, the end of the first sector, and Carl, without needing for a second invitation, moves back into second position, albeit quite far removed from the leading position that he currently holds, about 3/10 down, going into the long NASCAR turn of checkpoint number 10. It will still be Wosile chasing down Carl Jr., a position that is not quite optimal for the Gen.GxWeibo duo at the moment, as they desperately need to get some points on the board and try to slash the gap back down to, at the very most, 1 point. Currently, he's still leading by about 0.2 of a second ahead of Carl Jr., but he slides too much and forces himself to respawn as well. And Wosile will be clipping, and thus Carl Jr. will be unassailable, undisturbed, undefeated in this round. 0.973. The times are not great, but the result is all that matters for PacB. It will be the draw at the end because of that very early pinball action from Pac before checkpoint number 3 in the chicane. 9-5, Gen.GxWeibo have their backs against the wall. I have to say it again, ace or bust.
I mean, saying 9-5 on such a prominent bank holiday is a crazy thought, but here we are seeing it. The irony of saying 9-5 on a bank holiday. But you know what? PacB is 1 point away from their second track point and putting themselves in a prime position to win it on the second Gen.GxWeibo map pick. But Gen.GxWeibo is not quite out of the running yet. They would have loved that ace last round, but it was not meant to be, or rather, well, they couldn't make it. And that means that now they have, well, I mean, nothing to lose. So you might as well just send it. Both PacB players in the pack as well. There, all 4 players basically tied up on the line. We see 0.002 between Carl and Wosile as we head into the NASCAR turn.
And right now you can see Pac lifting a little bit maybe on the way out of the corner. Might have scared himself a little bit with the way he went a bit wider compared to everybody else in that NASCAR turn. But right now his teammate is doing the job required of him, currently holding the lead. Maybe can afford to drop down to second place. And Pac is still very much in contention. A 10.5 between first and last as we go into the identity. Carl Jr. heads into the lead. Will Wosile be able to put him under pressure and trying to force him into a mistake? Right now it's not looking likely. He's trying to rise to the occasion. Pac will be flipping out of existence, but his teammate gets the job done for PacB. 10-6, the final score on Greece. And with that, Gen.GxWeibo see the first of their 2 map picks ripped out of their hands. And thus, we will be moving on to USA, our next map, with Gen.GxWeibo almost mathematically, basically, out of contention for a top 4 spot with VP Neon. They're just going to have to go for a hell of a Hail Mary if they really want to correct the shot now.
Now, I do believe they have 1 more game, so if they can somehow ace
they
that...
have, but it will... They have, but if they have to rely on the loss from VP Neon, and, well, no, technically no, because they're tied up on, against VP Neon. So it would still be advantage to VP as long as they don't lose a map. Don't lose either 1 or 2 maps, I think. Okay. There's a lot of maths going on in this stream, but yeah, it looks as though the chances of Gen.GxWeibo's playoffs are going to be growing slimmer and slimmer with each and every round.
You know, I mean, at some point you just gotta call it. All right, I mean, you know, we're not getting into playoffs on split 1, but we've still got the second split to go, and, you know, playoffs isn't the only way to get into the major, and you can also always go through wildcards, and, you know, it's not like their chances are down or anything, but the earlier you can secure one of those spots, then the better that's obviously gonna be, not just for the mental game, but also, well, I mean, it takes a ton of stress off of you, no?
Yeah, it does take a little bit of pressure off of you, indeed, to be able to secure those overdrive points early on in the season, in the first split, and avoid having too much work for yourself in the second split and trying to secure a spot in the major. USA 2026, the best median is going the way of, surprise, surprise, Carl Jr. with a 102.798 out of 24 rounds that have been played and reported to ECM. 11 of those were won by Carl Jr. That is the best win rate of those on the server, a 45.8% win rate. And he also has the lowest amount of rounds finished in last place, 16.7%. Last place is 4 rounds out of 24. He finished in P4.
I mean, you know, who's surprised by the 7-time world champion? No, but it's still, sometimes you go over those stats and you do have to kind of ask yourself, just how good do you have to be to get those stats? And, you know, the Division 1 here is not exactly nobody's, those players, so that good against them is very, very much impressive. We're heading into round 1 of USA. Gen.GxWeibo, they have to somehow put something on the board here. It's not been going well for them so far, and early points would be optimal.
Early points would be very welcome, and right now they have an opportunity to do that because Carl Jr. had a shocker of a start. He's already half a second down as we go into checkpoint number 6. He leaves his teammate Pac to try and hold the fort for him and try to enforce the draw as we go through the dirt flick for the first time. We go a bit wide, the part of Heave, and the best exit will go the way of Pac as we didn't cross the crests very well the part of the Gen.GxWeibo team, and thus Pac will still emerge a 10.5 ahead going into the identity. Who gets it best? Who gets the clip? So far, so good. Everybody managing to get through clean. Heave going very close to the exit. A little bit too close for his liking to clipping on the outside before the final corner, and despite all of their efforts, Gen.GxWeibo just cannot move past Pac. 102.682, 1-1 at the end of round 1.862. That would have actually given the win to Gen.GxWeibo in that sense, but you get the idea. Sometimes numbers can be a little bit confusing, especially with the font that we see here on screen.
Yeah, well, on the upside, at least they added +1 on Carl Jr.'s last places on this map, which, you know, I guess that's something to be proud of. However, it's not really their optimal start. They just need to secure some early points. PacB is an insanely good team, and if they can build a lead, which they haven't had a lead so far in the entire series against PacB, and so if they could just somehow inch out a lead here, that would be great for them, and they have to do it on this map. Heave going for the extra speed, but he's already quite a ways behind, and Wosile is the one to try and secure a spot at the top.
Yeah, Wosile having to kind of filling the same role that Pac did in the previous round, because he doesn't get this quite the good start, just like Carl Jr. did in the previous round. But now, speaking of the devil, Carl Jr., he's going side by side with the Frenchman from Gen.G. A much better second half of the first corner. The identity will move him into the lead provisionally, but Wosile is not kicking himself out of this fight just yet until he clips on the inside. Such a classic thing to see happen there. Goes over the crest a bit too far inside and clips with the inside of the rim of his right front wheel, thus kind of robbing him of 15 to 20 Ks, which is just enough to see PacB sneaking through 1 and 2, and thus it will be 4-1, favoring the blue side at the end of the second round.
Such an early ace again for PacB. Gen.GxWeibo really struggling to put down the times right now, or rather it's just PacB that are absolutely piling on tons of pressures. 4 points is 2 aces from a win. I don't really see 2 aces in a row happening here for PacB. However, they are in formation to do that right now, and putting themselves onto match point immediately off of that first ace would be quite amazing for them.
Yeah, if Wosile has something to say about a potential back-to-back ace from PacB, he has to stand on it quickly, and he has to do it on his own, because Heave is forced to respawn, and Wosile will actually fail at the dirt flick. He clips the apex of the corner before even hitting the triggers, which means it's completely unsavable. That is going to be painful to experience, not only as a player, but also as a fan of Gen.GxWeibo, I'm assuring you, as we go on to the final corner. A bit of a clip from Carl Jr., but it will be inconsequential for the outcome of this round. It will be 1-2. PacB continue their dominant run. 7-1 at the end of the third round. They're looking to make this a 4-round deal. Clip it, ship it, without even paying it. It will be a 6-point lead for the blue side, and match point attempt number 1 is underway.
Absolute domination right now. PacB on Gen.GxWeibo's second map pick. They're just not able to keep up, or rather, just huge mistakes they're coming in from last round. You know, I said I don't see a second ace in a row happening, and immediately ate my words. So, you know, do with that what you may. But Gen.GxWeibo has to, I mean, you know, they technically don't have to ace, but they technically do have to ace to try and secure any kind of points here. But PacB is just not making that easy at all, as they keep on just being in the lead, and both of the Gen.GxWeibo players just not quite able to catch up. Right now, we do finally see Heave slightly up there, but has to try and get something through the dirt flick here.
Going through the dirt flick, nobody clipping the breeze block, and Wosile going a little bit too wide, and thus kind of slowing down dramatically at the exit of that dirt flick. And now Heave is kind of under pressure, and he has all of the alarms sounding at the same time, all the alarms blaring for Gen.GxWeibo, and the situation is getting dangerous, but we don't get any slide at all. Midway through the identity for Pac, Carl Jr. left on his own to secure the draw, which will be pronounced by virtue of the second and third places of Heave and Wosile. It's been a while since we haven't seen a no slide in that particular part of the identity there, but Pac fell victim to it, and that might just be saving Gen.GxWeibo's bacon, as long as they can act on the opportunity that they've been given here on this next round.
Yeah, I mean, you know, a draw at the very least, but it's not really what Gen.GxWeibo was trying to do there. They would have preferred at least a win, but, you know, at least the match is not over. That means you've got another chance, and that could have gone way worse. We're going to be seeing this next round, and all of a sudden, or rather, slowly but surely, they're running out of time. You kind of need to get an ace here.
You do need to get an ace. Right now, Wosile looking to try and make this scenario happen, but that will not actually help him if his teammate clobbers the wall all the way to checkpoint number 5. And now it looks as though the clock will be striking midnight at any point. as Warsaw continues to try and fight tooth and nail against the PacB duo, but we will see Carl Jr. clip the breeze block at the exit of the dirt flake, and so it will be Warsaw versus Pac to try and extract one more round potentially for Gen.GxWeibo. We go too wide though for Warsaw, barely clipping the wall before checkpoint 11, and now we see actually Heave rising to the occasion as well, taking advantage of Carl Jr.'s mishaps. Will it be enough? The answer is a no for 32 milliseconds. PacB said, playtime's over. Going home. Enjoy the rest of your bank holiday, guys. 3-0 at the end of this map, which has gone 10-3. And Gen.GxWeibo are well and truly, it looks like, out of contention for the top 4.
Yeah, I mean, Gen.GxWeibo would have loved to at least take a map off of PacB there, not just for their own scoreline, maybe even to bring PacB down a peg, you know, but ultimately, it wasn't meant to be, and I think that means that VP Neon is almost guaranteed for the playoffs.
Yeah, they're looking to be all but locked in pretty much to the playoffs. We'll show you the situation in the standings in a few seconds once our lovely producer gets the standings, which have been, of course, updated. We have wonderful people who kind of tabulate all of the permutations and whatnot. There, as I said, there's lots of math going on in here on Overdrive, just trying to follow the progressions of each and every team. But we can already tell you that, well, with all of their matches played, we have 8 points in terms of the match wins for PacB, who thus are currently locked in as number 1 in Division 1, but they can be caught up by both All Gamers and VP Neon. Well, All Gamers in terms of match wins, but they can also be overtaken by Big in terms of match wins, because look, the Big still has 2 games to play this season, so it's not over just yet at the top. And you look at the deficit from Gen.GxWeibo, they can try to wipe that back down to a -3 deficit, but then after that, even with the loss from VP Neon, like a conclusive loss, it will be -1 to -3 in the best of cases, and so VP Neon is all but locked into the 4th position.
Yeah, and Big, you do see there no losses on their side, so if they can win their remaining games as well, they might be able to secure themselves that 1st place position in the Division 1 standings as we end. I believe they've already played against PacB, a match which they won.
They did.
I mean, obviously they won it. They've won all their matches so far.
They won 3-1, and you want to know the crazy stat about this, Tobal? They played 6 of their games during a Sunday, right? They played nonstop from 1 p.m. to 7 p.m., and through that entire 6-hour streak, there was only 2 maps that Big lost, which is absolutely insane to think about. And the 3rd map that they lost, it was against VP Neon on their 1st game of the split. That was on the eve of their gigantic marathon, if I do say so myself. It was on Brazil that they ended up losing, which was a VP Neon pick, as a matter of fact. But yeah, Big, very much the class of the field at the moment in terms of reliability, looking to actually move past Carl Jr. And the last few opponents that they have on the Big side are going to be, I'm not going to say easy targets, but they would be. You would think that it would be a bit more conducive to Big having their way, but there's still one important matchup that they have to play. Like, there is Big versus Seoul, that given the momentum that they've shown, it will likely be a walkout, but there is one more game against the early season leaders, All Gamers. Binks and Gwen, never take those lightly. I feel like this could be a banger matchup whenever it happens.
I mean, the thing is with All Gamers, it's for me in my head, it's always a bit of a toss-up. Either they play absolutely amazing and they just completely nail all the rounds, or they're a little shaky, which is kind of what we've seen. I feel like in the recent matches a little bit more than at the start of the season, but I don't think that changes it much. All Gamers, they were of course the standing leaders when the split 1 opened up, and they were going on quite a bit of a win streak, and we thought maybe they're unbeatable, but then they matched up against PacB, and I believe they lost that one 3-0.
Yeah, they lost that one 3-0, and they lost their own map, their own map pick, Greece. 10-4, the loss, which is probably the most mind-boggling thing to think about in this entire game. But yeah, AG Global versus Big. There also is Seoul versus Big. Those are going to be the upcoming games that we have confirmed, and it will not be today. It will be on the 6th of May. It will be on a Wednesday game day, ladies and gentlemen, at 4 p.m. and 5 p.m. Central European Summertime, respectively, or Cup of the Day -4 and -3 and -2 Trackmania Standard Time. I got all the time zones mixed up. I thought we were playing at 8 p.m. Cup of the Day, but no, it's 7 p.m. of course for a Cup of the Day. So, Cup of the Day -3, -2, Trackmania Standard Time on the May the 6th. So make sure to note that date on your calendars. And with that, before we wrap things up, what are your takeaways of the match that we've seen, and what's else we should look out for in this final week of action in the regular season here of Overdrive Split 1?
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna definitely be that PacB is in their standing spot very well deserved in their playoff spot as well. My other takeaway is, of course, Gen.GxWeibo. They're gonna have to sort of probably step it up just a bit for Split 2 if they want to get into a top 4 spot by then. But on the other hand, what I am most excited for the last few matches of this first split is how does Big stack up in their last few matches, especially at Game Against All Gamers. You've talked about it already. And then where do they end up in their position at the end? Because they could very much be the only undefeated team in the division.
Yeah, this is going to be one exciting thing to look out for, and yeah, we're just going to see the rest of the development over the next few days here in this early part of May. There are a couple of other things to look out for in the month of May, such as, of course, the Barrage, the promo relegations, the Continentals as well. We cannot give you much info about those just yet, but keep your eyes peeled. Make sure to follow Overdrive socials. We'll be communicating those informations as early as possible. With that, we're going to be closing up shop for today. Thank you very much for tuning in to this Division 1 game between PacB and Gen.GxWeibo. From everybody of us here at Overdrive, I'm Thomas Bengos, aka EG accompanied by the one and only Tubble on comms. Much love, be kind, stay safe, and until next time, Godspeed, people!
Won't you come in? Save me from myself. I need you, darling. Won't you come in? Come in.